Okay. My name is Vince Kerper. From Minnesota, north of Minneapolis, and I work as a cardiovascular invasive specialist, and I'm here in the Los Angeles clinic on Santa Monica Boulevard. The kind of hair loss that I've had over the course of the last 12 years goes back to when I was about 20 years old. And I noticed as I was shaving my head, as I had done already for years, that there was a little thinner area right on the top in the back, and it was a little concerning to me at that age. I was actually, a little not only worried, but a little angry about it almost. I mean, it didn't seem right, but I had always shaved my head, and I continued to shave my head, and I just would shave it closer and closer. And over the years, the hair loss noticeably was expanding into a pattern baldness, type situation. And so I would shave closer. I switched then to using razors and shaving and trying to get it was always about getting a closer shave to kind of minimize the contrast between where the hair was still growing thick and maybe where it wasn't growing so thick. And by the time I got to about 31 years old, the hair loss was pretty extensive, and no amount of a close shave could conceal the fact anymore that there was a definite contrast between where the hair would grow and where it wouldn't anymore. So at that point, I decided that if I couldn't have a full head of hair, then I was going to have no hair at all. So I got the idea to have all the hair on my head laser removed. And so I underwent a series of treatments over the course of almost a full year. And I underwent about 9 procedures. I achieved about 90% hair loss with some patchy areas remaining. And my intention very early on in that process was that was phase 1, and that his hair clinic would be phase 2, and that once I got kind of a clean slate, so to speak, a blank palette, then the technicians, the artists here would be able to restore my hairline for me. Interestingly, I was at work, and we have a kind of a steady flow of product representatives coming through our area. I had mentioned I just started the laser treatments at that time, and I mentioned to one of our reps that I was undergoing this treatment, and it just kind of came up in conversation. And interestingly, he had heard just recently about his hair clinic specifically, and he was able to pull it up on his laptop and show me some of the pictures of the results that guys were getting. And he isn't a client; he's never needed to be a client. He's got a great full thick head of hair, and I'm jealous of the guy. But he was in the right place at the right time to show me what he had heard these guys were doing over here, and immediately got me interested that once I was through with the hair loss process, that I'd be able to restore a hairline. Yeah, I mean, I've had several different ideas as far as what hairline I'd like to achieve. It's kind of a liberating feeling getting to choose something like that. I've always had a pretty standard hairline that comes across. I had a very full head of hair in my younger age. As it receded, I started having some general, receding hairline in this area, and I really liked how it peaked a little bit in the front, and I really felt that was a good look for me, and I enjoyed that while it lasted until the hair just, kept on going. So at this point today, I really think that I'd like to kind of go for a look that's not perfectly clean cut, more of a natural, kind of a blended look. Not maybe necessarily the hairline that I had when I was 20 years old, but maybe a slight receding of the hairline. Being a person in his 30s, I think that would be a natural look for me, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to achieve here today. It's such a complicated psychological process that you go through as a male, as an individual who's losing hair. I think, over the course of time, it's been the subject of many conversations, and it's always kind of frustrated me a little bit how people can minimize the impact of hair loss on a male as opposed to a female. It would be a very tragic thing if a woman experiences hair loss, and it's devastating to an individual's sense of self-confidence and self-esteem. But I think that it's really minimized the effect that can have on a male. Although it's male pattern baldness, it's fairly common. It still has a huge impact on a person's sense of self-esteem and on their confidence, and it's absolutely affected almost every area of my life over the years. I'm a fairly confident person in myself. I have to be confident in myself in my job, and I do public speaking. That's another thing. I do some teaching and some public speaking, and it's absolutely something that's affected everything from professional engagements where so that self-consciousness is always just lurking, just right beneath the surface, always, at all times, to social situations and choosing not to participate in certain things just based on the lack of self-confidence and how you feel about yourself as far as your appearance. And so it's been a roller coaster over the years. You go through all the stages of maybe being in denial, maybe being angry about it, maybe trying to bargain or trying to reason a little bit, and eventually acceptance, and then in my case I took it a step further to some form of resolution. So the laser treatments and choosing to undergo the process, I think is bringing closure to that. But I absolutely think that for any young man out there, young or old, who's losing their hair, it can have a tremendous psychological impact, and it can actually reach into almost, if not every area of your life. And so it's an issue, it's a serious issue, and I think it's one not to be belittled. Some men can go bald very gracefully, and others maybe want to fight it a little bit more. So I'm one of the latter, and it's been a difficult decision. It's not a decision that I've taken lightly, but after a lot of consideration and after 12 plus years of feeling self-conscious about something, I think that it's going to be a very liberating experience to be able to have that confidence back that I haven't felt since the day before I realized my hair was thinning a little bit. So I'm really looking forward to experiencing that again. Yeah, with a major decision like this, a lifetime decision like this, I've had a lot of opportunity over the last year to really examine any apprehensions or fears that I have about having this kind of procedure done. I've gone back and forth several times on whether I was going to have this done or not. I think always in the back of my mind I knew that I would. I knew that I wanted to, and I knew that I wasn't going to be satisfied until I did. I know that these guys are the best in this industry. They're pioneers in this industry. I trust them completely. I've seen the results. I've heard the feedback that people who have undergone the procedure have had, and after careful consideration, I know that I'm going to be very happy, and that confidence is going to be restored, and that it's going to be worth every dollar, to have this done. So, it's a big decision, but I think that if you give yourself enough time to really consider it and to think about what it is that you want and what you hope to achieve and what's important to you as an individual, then I think, you can know and move forward knowing that it's the right decision for you.